The sister wives' world has been rocked yet again, this time by a shocking confession from Meri Brown that no one saw coming. In a jaw-dropping moment, Meri revealed that she believes it's not safe to have Christine Brown in her life, sending fans into a frenzy. Through years of tension, distance, and unspoken rivalries, Meri's chilling words have reignited the firestorm around the Browns' fractured relationships. Viewers are stunned, asking what really happened behind the scenes to make Meri draw such a dramatic line in the sand, and what this means for the future of the family. The story of the Brown family has never lacked drama, heartbreak, and shocking revelations, but the latest twist in the ongoing saga of TLC's sister wives has left fans speechless. Meri Brown, the first wife of patriarch Kody Brown, has stunned viewers and followers by declaring that it is unsafe for her to have Christine Brown, Kody's former third wife, in her life. For years, audiences have speculated about the complicated relationship between the sister wives, often marked by subtle tension, open conflict, and emotional distance. Yet no one expected Meri, who has often been the quiet sufferer in the family, to use such a strong word to describe her feelings toward Christine. This revelation not only reignites the discussion about the fractures within the Brown family but also forces fans to reevaluate what they thought they knew about the relationships between the women. Meri's use of the word unsafe is what shocked fans most. It was not a casual statement of frustration or an acknowledgement of ongoing disagreements. It carried the weight of something deeper, more personal, and potentially more troubling. For viewers who have watched The Browns since the show's beginning in 2010, the word suggests that the divisions between Meri and Christine are not just about jealousy, competition, or differences in perspective. Instead, it hints at a breakdown so severe that Meri no longer feels emotionally secure being around Christine. In the world of sister wives, where conflict is often framed in terms of competing loyalties or unequal treatment from Kody, Meri's statement takes things to an entirely new level. To understand how the relationship between Meri and Christine deteriorated to this point, it is important to revisit the long history of their interactions. When Sister Wives first began, the family was presented as a harmonious unit in which Meri, Janelle, and Christine supported one another while sharing a husband. Robyn's entrance into the family later shifted dynamics, but Meri was always portrayed as the steady first wife, Christine as the upbeat and nurturing third wife, and Janelle as the pragmatic partner who focused on the children and finances. While tensions did exist, viewers were led to believe that the women worked hard to maintain peace for the sake of the family's unity. Behind the smiles and scripted moments of togetherness, however, real cracks existed. Meri's struggle with loneliness became more apparent as Kody's attention shifted to Robyn, and as Christine grew increasingly disillusioned with her own relationship with Kody. Christine's frustrations boiled over when she openly declared that she could no longer remain in a marriage where she felt unloved and neglected. Meri's journey was quieter but equally painful, marked by years of emotional distance, the infamous catfishing scandal that further eroded her bond with Kody, and the eventual acknowledgement that her marriage was little more than a hollow shell. For fans, Christine's decision to leave Kody was an empowering moment. She stepped away from a relationship that had drained her and chose happiness and independence with her now husband David Woolley. Meri, however, remained in the shadows of that decision. While she eventually separated from Kody, she did so after years of holding on, trying to find her place in a family that no longer valued her presence. Against this backdrop, the idea that Meri now feels unsafe around Christine is not only surprising but also layered with years of unresolved pain and rivalry. One theory circulating among fans is that Meri's choice of the word unsafe reflects more than physical danger. It reflects emotional harm. For years, Christine and Meri have struggled to connect on a personal level. Christine once admitted that she felt Meri was harsh, judgmental, and unapproachable. Meri, on the other hand, often appeared isolated and perhaps misunderstood, leading to resentment on both sides. While Christine found her voice and walked away, Meri may have been left with lingering wounds that make any interaction with Christine feel like reopening old scars. To call that unsafe is to acknowledge that being around Christine might trigger emotional turmoil Meri no longer wishes to endure. Another interpretation is that Mary feels betrayed by Christine's newfound openness about the family. Christine has been candid about her struggles with Kody, her feelings of neglect, and her belief that the polygamous lifestyle no longer worked for her. She has spoken out publicly, written a book, and built a social media presence centered on her independence. To Mary, who often kept her pain more private and endured silently for years, this openness may feel unsafe because it threatens to expose truths Mary would rather keep hidden. Contrast between Christine's liberation and Mary's struggle could intensify those feelings, leaving Mary unable to maintain a connection without feeling diminished or destabilized. Fans are also speculating about the timing of Mary's revelation. The Brown family has been unraveling for years, but the wounds are still fresh. Christine's happiness with David Woolley has been on full display, with public celebrations of their love and marriage, while Mary has faced the more complicated task of rebuilding her life alone. Janelle has struck a balance by carving out her independence, while Robin clings tightly to Kody, positioning herself as the last wife standing. In this shifting landscape, Mary's sense of safety may not be about Christine alone but about the broader sense of exclusion and loss she feels. When Christine left, she did so boldly, and her departure reshaped the entire family dynamic. Mary's feelings of unsafety may be rooted in the reminder that Christine not only left but did so on her own terms, something Mary never felt she had the power to do. The response from fans has been overwhelming. Online discussions erupted immediately after Mary's comments were revealed, with viewers expressing shock, confusion, and even disappointment. Some sympathized with Mary, suggesting that years of emotional neglect and rivalry have left her scarred and that her words should be understood as a cry for self-preservation. Others, however, accused Mary of bitterness, arguing that she is projecting her frustrations onto Christine instead of confronting the real source of her pain, her decades-long broken marriage with Kody. In typical sister wives fashion, the debate quickly became heated, with fans taking sides and offering their own theories about the deeper meaning behind Mary's statement. What makes this revelation so compelling is that it disrupts the narrative many fans had built in their minds. Christine was often seen as the hero of the sister wives story, the woman who stood up to Kody and claimed her happiness. Mary, meanwhile, was portrayed as the tragic figure, clinging to a dead marriage and struggling to find her own voice. The idea that Mary now considers Christine unsafe complicates that picture. It suggests that the story is not as simple as one woman's liberation and another's suffering. Instead, it reveals a deeper, messier truth, that relationships between the sister wives were fraught with tension long before Christine's departure and that those wounds may never heal. Mary's words also highlight the difficulty of rebuilding life after a plural marriage. When Christine left, she gained freedom and joy, but her departure left behind fractured relationships that cannot easily be mended. Mary's acknowledgement that it feels unsafe to have Christine in her life is a painful reminder that the bonds between the sister wives were not just strained by Kody's favoritism and neglect but also by their own interpersonal dynamics. In the end, polygamy did not just fracture marriages, it fractured friendships, sisterhood, and trust. Looking ahead, it is unclear what Mary's revelation means for the future of the Brown family, both on and off the screen. For TLC, it provides another layer of drama to explore, ensuring that Sister Wives remains a compelling watch for audiences. For the family itself, however, it signals that reconciliation may be impossible. If Mary truly feels unsafe around Christine, then the dream of maintaining even a semblance of unity is over. The Browns may continue to exist as individual units, Christine with David, Janelle with her independence, Mary with her solo ventures, and Robin with Kody, but the idea of them ever coming together again seems more distant than ever. For fans who have followed the Browns for more than a decade, this latest twist is both heartbreaking and riveting. Confirms that the pain of polygamy runs deep, and that the scars left behind are not easily healed. Mary's use of the word unsafe may be the most honest expression of that truth yet. strips away the last illusions of harmony and lays bare the emotional toll of years spent in a fractured family. Whether audiences sympathize with Mary or criticize her, one thing is undeniable. Her words mark a turning point in the sister-wives story, one that fans will be discussing for years to come. The Brown family's legacy will always be tied to the question of whether polygamy can work in the modern world. For years they tried to prove that it could. But as Mary's revelation shows, the cost of that experiment has been immense. The relationships between the wives, once portrayed as a sisterhood, have been left in ruins. And now, with one wife declaring it unsafe to even be around another, the dream has collapsed entirely. The Browns are no longer just a family torn apart by a man's favoritism. They are a cautionary tale of what happens when ideals clash with the raw realities of human emotion. The significance of this development extends far beyond the dynamics of one reality show. Sister Wives has long been more than just entertainment. It has been a cultural conversation about marriage, family, gender roles, and the limits of plural love. By watching The Browns, audiences have grappled with questions about what makes a relationship sustainable, what sacrifices are fair, and what happens when ideals clash with human emotions. Kody's dream was to prove that plural marriage could work in modern America, and for a while it seemed like he was succeeding. But the unraveling of his family, played out in front of millions, has instead become a cautionary tale. With this latest twist, the cautionary tale has sharpened even further. Perhaps the greatest danger to plural marriage is not jealousy or external judgment, but the inability of one man to live up to the ideals he preaches. From a storytelling perspective, the irony could not be deeper. For years, Kody positioned himself as the protector and leader of the family. He often argued that the wives and children needed him to keep the family united. He framed his decisions as being made for the greater good, even when they caused division. Now, with one family member after another pushing back against his narrative, the idea that he was the glue holding the family together has been shattered. Instead, the suggestion is that Kody himself may have been the hammer that cracked the foundation. For Sister Wives fans who have followed the family's journey for more than a decade, this revelation is both heartbreaking and vindicating. Heartbreaking because it confirms the deep pain experienced by the wives and children. Vindicating because it validates what so many fans have argued for years, that Kody's ego and favoritism were the central problems all along. As the fan speculation continues to swirl, attention is now turning to how Kody will respond. Historically, Kody has not been quick to take accountability. He often bristles at criticism, dismissing it as misunderstandings or blaming others for not working hard enough to maintain unity. Question now is whether he will be able to maintain that stance in the face of growing opposition from within his own family. If even his most loyal supporters begin to echo the criticisms of Christine, Janelle, and Mary, then Kody may soon find himself with nowhere left to hide. What comes next for the Browns is uncertain. The show's future has always depended on the ongoing drama of the family's relationships, and with 3 wives gone, the focus has narrowed to Kody and Robyn's attempts to redefine their lives. However, the fan interest has not waned, precisely because the fractures are so deep and the revelations so constant. This latest moment, where the least likely family member to blame Kody now seems to think he is the problem, ensures that the conversation will only grow louder. May even shape how future seasons of the show unfold, as TLC producers decide how to frame Kody's narrative in light of shifting dynamics. One thing is clear. The Brown family's story has long since moved beyond the idealistic vision of unity and harmony that first captured America's attention. It is now a story about accountability, choices, and the painful consequences of trying to live an ideal that may have been doomed from the start. With each passing revelation, the picture of who Kody Brown really is becomes clearer, and the role he played in the collapse of his family becomes harder to ignore. The world of reality television is no stranger to shocking revelations, but rarely do they strike with such emotional force as the latest development in the saga of TLC's Sister Wives. For more than a decade, audiences have watched the Brown family navigate the complex realities of polygamy, marriage, parenting, and personal identity. The figure at the center of it all, Kody Brown, has long been both the patriarch and the lightning rod for criticism. His role as husband to 4 wives and father to more than a dozen children placed him in the unique position of having to balance relationships in ways most people could not imagine. Fans have seen his triumphs, his failures, and his passionate speeches about family unity. They have also witnessed the heartbreaking collapse of his marriages, the exodus of Christine, Janelle, and Mary, and the alienation of several children. But through it all, there remained one constant: a family member who seemed reluctant, almost unwilling, to place blame directly at Kody's feet. This person was perceived as his quiet ally, the one who would cushion his image while others openly criticized him. They were the calm in the storm, the voice that suggested the issues were not entirely his fault, and in doing so they provided Kody with a veneer of credibility at a time when much of his family and audience were turning against him. That is why fans around the globe are stunned today. In an unexpected twist that feels like the climax of a long brewing story, that very family member has now seemingly turned the finger of blame directly at Kody. The shockwave from this subtle yet powerful shift cannot be overstated. Sister Wives fans who have followed the family's journey for years immediately erupted with discussions, debates, and endless replays of the key moment in which the blame was suggested. Social media platforms exploded with commentary, with viewers sharing disbelief that the one person they thought would never accuse Kody had finally stepped forward. For some, it felt like a long-awaited validation of what they had been arguing for years, that Kody's leadership, favoritism, and stubborn refusal to compromise were the central reasons the family fell apart. For others, it was a heartbreaking confirmation that even those closest to Kody were no longer able to shield him from the reality of his actions. The scene in question did not come with fiery accusations or heated shouting matches. Rather, it was quiet, almost understated, and that made it all the more impactful. The family member, long seen as one of the least confrontational figures in the Brown household, expressed sentiments that could only be interpreted as holding Kody accountable. It was not framed as a bitter attack but as a statement of truth, the kind that slips through only after years of bottled-up emotions. For fans, the subtlety made it more devastating. It was not rage speaking, it was resignation, an acceptance that Kody had indeed played a central role in the fractures that destroyed the family. In order to understand the gravity of this moment, it is necessary to revisit the long history of how Kody Brown has been portrayed and how his relationships have unfolded. When Sister Wives premiered in 2010, Kody appeared to be a man with a mission,